Clip gain can be used to level out your signal without using compression or automation. What up, yo, this your boy Wavy Wayne. Today, we're going to take a look at clip gain, which was a feature that was introduced into Pro Tools with Pro Tools 10. Clip gain allows you to adjust the level of your audio clip. There's a few differences between clip gain and automation. Clip gain is a pre-fader level adjustment. It allows you to change the level of the signal as like the input level that you recorded in. Whereas using automation, you're changing the output level of the signal. When you use clip gain, you can actually affect the level going into your processors, mainly into that compressor or EQ you may be having inserted on that track. Using automation is going to affect the level after the signal has been processed by whatever inserts you have on that track. When you're working with signals that haven't been compressed on the input, or they haven't been compressed as you're recording, you're going to end up with signals that are very dynamic. It's going to be important to smooth out those peaks before you start to compress the signal, as certain levels, different levels can start to affect the compressor in different ways. For example, if I set my compressor for the lowest parts in the signal, if I set that threshold of the compressor for the lowest parts in the signal, then whenever the singer or rapper gets more excited and gets more louder, then now that threshold setting is too low. By going in with clip gain before I start to use any compression, I can level out those signals a little bit closer, and I can use a lot less compression throughout the mixing. There's a few things to look at when getting started with clip gain. Let's check them out in our session right now. First thing first is going to be actually showing the clip gain line. All right, now on the bottom left corner of your audio clip, you should have a little fader icon, and then it should say 0 dB if you haven't adjusted anything. If you can't see that, you go up to the view menu, choose clip, and choose clip gain info. When you choose to show the clip gain info, that's how you get this line here. Now, one way to adjust the clip gain is to actually just go right over to this clip gain info, little fader, click and drag up or down to adjust the level of the entire clip. And you can see that the waveforms will move accordingly. You can only adjust the entire clip using the clip gain info in this way, by using that fader. So if you need to adjust smaller parts, you may have to go in, let's say where I have this loud little peak here, I may need to zoom in, select this little section, separate the clip. I like to use the letter key B just to separate and bring the level of that clip down to match the rest of the track. Before we get started, let's take a listen to this verse from Lydia Caesar's song, St. Louis.
He has charm that lights up the town. His smile lifts me up when I'm down. I first saw him on a summer night. I knew that moment would change my life. I fell in love with the way that he said, baby, baby, yeah. He told me that he had traveled from far away. We hung out and he opened my doors. I spent the night, then he walked me back home. I used to this kind of man. He caters to me, he understands. He ain't afraid to say, baby, 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 I need you. I need him too, yeah. I'd kiss every mile that brought him my way.
Cool. Now, as you can see in here, the vocal here is pretty dynamic. There's parts when she gets pretty loud, and there's other parts that are a lot softer. Usually I'll handle this by using a LA2A or a different compressor on the input as I'm recording. I intentionally left that off, as most younger engineers don't have access to that kind of gear. And what you do is record a signal in with absolutely no compression at all. So we'll end up with a signal that's more dynamic like this one. One of the first things I'll do to tackle this is use my clip gain to go through and turn down any peaks that seem to be jumping out during this signal. By doing that, later my compression is going to have to work a whole lot easier, and it's going to be a whole lot smoother going throughout. Well, I'll just jump right in here where I see one of the loudest peaks, and I'll start off by making a selection. One way to attack this is to separate this clip. I'll just hit the letter B, separate the clip, and then come down to the clip gain line and then drag that on down a little bit until it's closer to the rest of the track.
We hung out and he opened my doors.
Yeah, a lot smoother. Cool. And so I can go through and spend a little time going through each line and adjusting the clip gain in this way.
I spent the night, then he walked me back home. I used to this kind of man.
You can start to accumulate a lot of edits in your session when you work in this way. So Pro Tools has another way of actually working with clip gain, and that's using the clip gain line. To show the clip gain line, you can do this in a few ways. One way is to go up to the view menu and choose clip, go down to clip gain line, boom. When it has a check mark, it'll show there. Now the clip gain line looks a lot like a volume automation line going through that track. Keep in mind that clip gain is very different from volume automation. Clip gain is going to be pre-fader where volume automation is post-fader. Adjusting the clip gain is going to change the levels going into any compressors or inserts that you may have on that actual track. And that's why I like to do this before I start messing around with the compressors so I can smooth that signal out and then go into compressing it. So with the clip gain line showing now, I'll just make a selection over the part that is appearing to be a little too loud here. And you can also do this for parts that are quieter. But this part that's a little too loud, I'm just going to go right above that clip gain line. You'll see a little tool jump on there. I always use the smart tool, so that's what makes this easy. And I'm just going to adjust and truncate that level down a little bit.
Home. I used to this kind of man. He caters to me.
So much smoother. All right, let me give you one more example of this. I see another little peak here jumping out at me.
Baby, I need you.
So I'm going to go and turn this down. Cool. So I go throughout the entire track and make sure that most of the levels are pretty even. And you can get as detailed with this as you want to. Sometimes I'll spend 30 minutes to an hour just going through a track using clip gain to level out all of the different peaks, especially when clients send me sessions that haven't been recorded using a compressor. One other way that we can use clip gain to help us along with our mixes is by using clip gain to actually minimize the breaths. All right, now sometimes chopping out the breaths altogether can make your signal, your recording, seem unnatural. So you don't always want to just take the breaths out altogether. But one thing I like to do is use clip gain to lower the level of those breaths in between different phrases.
Change my life. I fell in love. Change my life. I fell in love with the way that he changed my life. I fell in love with the way that he said, baby, 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 yeah. And he said, baby, baby, yeah. He told me.
When you're done with the clip gain line, you can right click on the clip, go down to clip gain, and choose to hide that clip gain line. As you see, you can also choose to bypass the clip gain line, copy it, clear the clip gain line, and you can either render the clip gain to the actual clip, which will write those new levels to the clip. Using clip gain is a great way to get an even level through your mix without using compression or automation. I like to start there and make sure everything's pretty nice and smooth before I even get started with my mixing. It's going to make the compression sound better and make everything go a lot easier. That's the Wavy Wayne tip of the day. If you have any topics that you'd like to see me cover, be sure to leave a comment below and like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks to Lydia Caesar for this dope track. I'll leave the link in the description, and y'all be dope. All right.